Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to another episode, Ascension with A Course in Miracles. And today is October the 30th. Good to see you, Miss Jody. Glad that you're joining us.
Hi. Oh, hi there.
I guess you need to do a little purification from all of that Facebook love receiving.
Yes. Nice to see you, beautiful. I gotta turn my camera off because I gotta walk a dog, but I'm gonna be here. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. So
Love
wonderful.
you.
And so I am just so excited to be here with you guys, to come together and bring our frequency together, our energy together in one common goal, and that is to continue to remember the truth of who we are. That is what A Course in Miracles is all about. It is not an easy it's not an easy course to do, but it is a necessary course because it is a course that is all about teaching us how to discern the difference between the voice of God and the voice of ego, which is the voice of love, the voice of fear. And as simple as that sounds, it's not an easy thing to do. But the process really truly is very simple. We are light. This poster signifies we come from an expanded place. We wind ourselves pretty tight and down into believing that we're just this individual little human that is powerless. And then we give our power to those who tell us that they have more power than us: mother, father, teacher, preacher, government, media, boss. So we give our power away, and then we feel powerless. And when we feel powerless, something inside of us that knows the truth, that says, you know what, this is not okay, begins the journey home. We begin the process of returning to the truth of who we are. And many of us, most of us, are going to discover the truth of who we are while we are in this incarnation during this time frame, because we are operating inside of a cycle. It's a cycle of how we rotate, and how ascension is, when there's a rotation, there's an opportunity to go up, or there is a rotation, an opportunity to go down. So we have just been on this particular trajectory, moving towards this time in the whole of consciousness, the whole of the universe, the whole of God, whatever you want to call it. We're coming to this precise moment where we have to make a choice. And all of us are making a choice. Whether we're aware of the choice that we're making or not is a different story. Course in Miracles is training us, training our mind to make that choice consciously, to choose love consciously, to choose ascension consciously, because you recognize the benefits of doing that. I mean, to live your life in transparency and peace and honesty, with all beings, realizing that all are equally as powerful, that all are magnificent children of God. There's no competition, there's only collaboration. That's what ascension is for. However, at the same time, we are at a point where we can choose. The souls who do not want to ascend can choose to descend or stay in the same frequency. Now, can't stay in the same frequency for very long, because we've got this word called evolution. We're going to devolve into a lower state, which is very possible. And by lower state, what that means is more contraction, further away from God. That's all that is lower state, meaning blocking the light. Or ascension means I'm accepting the light that I am. So neither is good or bad. Neither is better than the other. These are two different roller coaster rides in the same amusement park. One, you can be in the dark and screaming and scary, and things can pop out and it can feel very frightening. I did a couple of those roller coasters when I was younger, and I don't do roller coasters anymore because I had my fill. And then there's the ride where you can just go through the love tunnel, and it's just love and joy and peaceful, and people are nice, and it's slow and it's easy, and you can jump off and have lunch over here and meander over there and get back on, and it's just lovely. Both are equally valid in the amusement park. Both are equally valid frequencies inside of all that is, because all that is all that is. So you can't have only this, but not that. If there's only this and not that, you're not in all that is. You're in this, not that. So we are at a time where we have a window of opportunity, and it'll come back again. In 26,000 years is going to come back again, because everything is cyclical and consciousness is very predictable, because there's only two directions you go. You go up or down. You go towards the light or away from the light. So we're either moving toward the light, or in 26,000 years, we have a chance to move away from the light. Beings ascend. Well, let's just mention, where do we all start? We all start as light. And then we make a choice, we make a decision. Well, we want to experience what it's like not to be this. And when we experience what it's like not to be this, and it starts off relatively, simple. Oh, I'm going to experience a little sadness because I'm not with God or with my other angel friends that we're all one. And so you experience a little sadness, and then there's a little competition, a little comparing. Oh, that one has it and I don't have it. And then you little by little move further and further away. So it starts just as this chart shows it. And this chart is the brainchild of Dr. David Hawkins. He brought forth this information because every one of us brings forth a piece of the knowledge. Every single one of us, whether we know it or not, every single one of us has a piece of the knowledge, meaning a piece of the puzzle. And as we each discover that piece for ourselves, we can't help but want to share it with others. It's inevitable. If you achieve that in this lifetime, great. If it doesn't happen till the next lifetime, that's okay too. There's no rush in eternity, because in eternity, you're always and forever there. You cannot not be what you are. So from the light, from pure consciousness, just imagine that being the center point, everything just spreads out. So everything is pretty wide in remembering the truth of what it is. But then little by little, we go further and further away, because we want to have experiences that block light. And each incarnation, we have less light. We pick denser parents, denser experiences, denser countries, denser consciousness that we enter into. In this planet Earth, we can go pretty dark. Now, there are other planets that are even darker than that, but we are focusing on this one, as there are planets that are lighter than that. So as we begin to remember truth, we begin to have awarenesses. Either we hear it from channelers, or we have our own experiences. When I started having those experiences, I thought I was going crazy because I'd never heard of anything like that. So you begin to peek through the veil. You begin to see through the fog of forgetfulness that we all have to go through. And then it's like you're going through the fog, and then all of a sudden, ooh, there's something there. Well, every single person has the ability to access information, and you're going to access it at the right time for you. This is why it's so important to relax. Just relax. You're going to get it when you get it. And if you are in a search, if you're seeking, if you're in a place of realizing that you want things to get better, you're going to get the assistance that is necessary to experience that. And if you're still having a hard time remembering the truth of who you are, it's because you need a little bit more time understanding what you're not. So you cannot get it wrong. It's absolutely impossible to get any of this wrong. As a matter of fact, Abraham Hicks says, you can't get it wrong, you cannot get it done. You cannot get it done because you're eternal. You cannot get it wrong because there is nothing wrong about experiencing less of the light that you are. It's like having, think about houses. Let's start with a piece of land. It is a bare piece of land, and you've got all the light is available, but you decide you're going to build a house. And you draw up a plan, and the plan has 20 windows. Well, you're going to block a lot of light, but you will leave holes for those 20 windows. Well, that's what we did in an incarnation. We had, first there was just maybe a tiny little bit of wall and a bunch of windows, and it was a glass house. And little by little, we have put up more of the denser walls, and whether it be concrete or wood, whatever, but it blocks the light. And then we have less and less windows, to the point that the greatest punishment that we can give a human is to put them in solitary confinement with no light. That what little light they get is the light from a lamp somewhere in a hallway, and they barely have any light because it's traumatic to be in the dark. It causes some psychological disturbances if you're not grounded in the truth of who you are. This is why prisoners, you want to really punish them. Besides torture, you put them in solitary confinement. They not only can they not connect with anybody else and experience light through another being, but they don't even have access to the light themselves, and can spend years without ever seeing natural light. So we, as a child of God, as a creator, created by God to create, we can create for ourselves, going as far away from the light as we want to, because there is no punishment. Inside of creation, there is infinite potential. And every one of us will explore it to whatever degree we want to explore it at. And the Course in Miracles is a course in training your mind to come back from that darkness, that place of lack of awareness of the truth of who we are. Just as somebody who has been in solitary confinement requires rehabilitation to reintegrate into society, or even a prisoner who wasn't in solitary confinement needs to be reintroduced into society, because in the jail they do different things. There's a different pecking order. There's different, different things that you do to get certain rewards. Well, out in the world, there are different things that you do to get certain rewards. And the Course in Miracles is training us to understand the truth of who we are. And right now we are at a point where the messages are just everywhere. You can find a channel, you can find a psychic, you can find this information inspired through books, through conversations, everywhere, because the world, this planet, the little planet I could, is being infused with light that is helping us remember who we are. And because we are at a point of choice, this is just a game. If you think about creation as a game, we are like in a video game. And this particular game is set that every 26,000 years, there's an opportunity to choose again. We're at that point, and that 26,000 year window has a 30-year or 36-year window. It's like at the end of it. So think about it this way. It takes 26,000 years to go all the way around. In the last 36 years, you get to pick, do you go up or do you go back down? Do you want to go lower in frequency? Or at the very least, you stay there and you just hover in that, and then you'll continue going down at the next go round. This is a spiral. You will continue to descend, or you continue to ascend. Because what is all that is not complete, which is kind of a paradox. It is all that is there because it's all that is, but it is a fluid creation that is constantly creating itself, because it only exists in now. So in now, it's not done, but in now, it is done. And now it is an opportunity to contract, and now it's an opportunity to expand. And until we get comfortable with paradoxes, meaning two opposite things at the same time, we're physical and we're non-physical, until we understand that this is a temporary life, but what I am is eternal, until those concepts that are totally opposite in a human mind become possible, not only possible, but become the laws of the divine mind, we're not quite understanding paradox. And that's okay. That's okay. Everybody gets this whenever they get it. I certainly haven't gotten it all, and I've been on this journey now 20 plus years. So it's an opportunity right now is an opportunity to check in. Do things feel off? Is the way that we've been doing things, does that feel off? Does it feel uncomfortable that people are hurting, that lying, cheating, stealing, abusing, that those things are happening? Because see, they've been happening for thousands of years. They've been happening here our whole lives. But what is happening in this 36-year window is we are feeling it more intensely. And we're feeling it because we have to make a decision. Do we want to continue to participate in a world where oppression and suppression and abuse continues, even though it's always been there? And we've lived in it for decades. I didn't start this journey until my 40s. So the first 4 decades of my life, corruption, lying, cheating, abusing, that was everywhere. Now, I wasn't focused on it and it wasn't something we talked about, but we read about every now and then the corruption or the abuse of children or lying, somebody stabbed somebody, somebody cheated somebody. It was happening. But what is taking place right now is that because so many of us are saying, you know what, I'm ready to face what's been dark, because most of the dark stuff is kind of kept behind the curtain. It doesn't get paraded, because if it was paraded, we wouldn't like it. But because it's behind the curtain, we tolerate it as long as it's over there and not over here. I'm busy making my money, buying my house, decorating my place, making it pretty. I'm busy, rearranging the furniture on the Titanic, and because the ego is very selfish and very greedy, and it's all about me. So been there, done that. I know I focused so much about what I could do to make my life, my family's life better. And if they weren't in my family, you know what? I wasn't really that interested. And every now and then I'd send a little money here, or I'd do some nice things there, but it wasn't my day-to-day work. My day-to-day work, I would get up, get the kids ready to go to school, and I was sending them to school so they would get educated so that they could have productive lives in the future, become successful and make money and have a wonderful life. So it's always selfishly oriented. But when you begin the process of awakening, it's because you had chosen, before you incarnated from up there, you made a decision. You know what? I'm going to wake up, and what's going to wake me up could be, for me, death of my mother. For somebody else, it could be the death of a child. For somebody else, it could be a diagnosis. For somebody else, it could be the loss of a job. For somebody else, it could be losing a leg. For somebody else, it could be an earthquake. There are so many different ways in which consciousness gets our attention, where we have to turn inward, where we have to look at, why is my life happening this way? And then we ask those profound questions. Who am I? Because I was being Laina all along, the PTA mom, the realtor, the wife, the sister, the tennis player, the HOA president or treasurer, or whatever role I played, all these different things that I volunteered for, they had me pretty busy. I thought I was this person who did all these things. But when you begin to question, who am I? You go on a journey to discover. Inevitably, it will happen in this lifetime or the next one. Again, we're eternal, so there's no rush in when we have to figure things out. The only thing that accelerates the desire to know the truth is when you know that truth and peace go together. When that clicks and you realize that the only thing that brings peace is knowing truth, because the peace sets you free from suffering, then your process accelerates, because now you're not sifting through the whole world, through all your riches and all your stuff and all your what people think of you and all of these different ways that we're distracted. When you're no longer looking out there, you then come inside. You come to the only place where you're going to find the truth. And that's to come within and begin to answer, who am I as God created me? Which means then you got to go on a journey. What really is God? Because the church has told us what God is. And for the most part, none of us want to be that mean, wrathful person in the sky somewhere, shooting off fire and brimstone and turning people into pillars of salt. Not too many of us want that job. But when you get really honest about what is God, and then you open up your mind to move beyond the physical realm, you enter into the world of quantum physics, and you begin to realize, okay, if something created everything that is solid, everything that is, squishy, everything that is soft, everything that is hard, everything that is prickly, everything that is liquid, everything that is gas, if something created all of that, then it cannot just be that one thing. It can't be just the trees are God, or it cannot just be that people are God. It cannot just be that the planet is God. You've got to then go to the subatomic particles. You've got, again, this is why quantum physics is so important. And I've just dabbled enough in it to know that I came upon what felt true to me, but not to go understand it in deeper levels, and certainly not to teach it. I stay in my lane. My lane is teaching about the ego and how it's a block to love. That's it. That's where I stay. Um, the least exciting part of spirituality, because it's the least sexy part. Everybody wants crystals and halos and powers to channel and change things, but very few people really want to understand the ego, which is the block to all of that. But if we don't understand what blocks us from being who we are, from knowing who we are, you can't get very far on this journey. Sure, life can get a little nicer, and you can have a lot of sweet friends, and you can have all kinds of gatherings with these lovely friends, but then you can't have conversations with people who don't understand the truth, because they're still operating in duality. And duality means there's right and there's wrong. There's this and there's that. I'm on this side, you're on that side. Where moving into oneness is like, we're all made of the same thing. God is made of the same, of the substance that God is what we're made of. So there comes an acceptance of who we are. So who am I? Who am I? You are God expressing itself. You're the energy of the infinite expressing itself in a finite way, and for a temporary period of time, because we're playing a game. All the different ways that source can express itself. So here at the higher levels of frequency, when we're closer to the truth, well, you express yourself in beautiful, loving ways, and you can be any animal, you can be any being, not even an animal, you can be anything, you want to be. There is no end to what is infinite, and you can play in the realms of magnificence for eternity if you want. Or if you're adventurous and you really want to try doing that thing that maybe daddy or mommy told you not to do, like me, and as a little girl, I was fascinated by fire. I don't know why. Maybe it's a past life thing. Maybe I was burnt at the stake. I wouldn't doubt it. But I was fascinated by fire, and I liked playing with matches. And I was told, don't go play with matches. You're going to get in trouble. Not only is mommy and daddy going to take the bell to you, you're going to get a whooping, but it's dangerous. And I wouldn't listen. Wherever I could, I would go get my little matches and play with my little matches, and whoosh, and amazing. Well, I'll tell you of two instances, because I didn't learn just one time. It was many instances where things got a little dangerous, but one in particular, I'll tell you of two, but this one in particular, I think I was about 9 years old, and my parents had a business in the house, and they used tanks of oxygen for some of the things that they did. I don't remember exactly what they did. Anyways, I went underneath the house and I was playing with matches underneath the tanks of oxygen. And one of my sisters, who saw that I got caught some leaves on fire underneath the space. It was like above the ground, maybe a couple of feet, and I was little, so I crawled underneath there and playing with my matches. And my sister went running to tell my mom that I had gotten these leaves or dry grass or something on fire. And my parents came running out with the extinguisher, because there are tanks of oxygen on top that could have blown up, and I would have blown up into smithereens. So you would think that would have been enough, but it wasn't. About a year or so later, now this, I wasn't deliberately playing with matches, but I wasn't afraid of fire. And I went into the kitchen. It was Mother's Day. I went into the kitchen, and before that, I woke up my sisters and I told, okay, we're going to make pancakes and I'm going to get everything going. So I assigned, I was bossy too. I assigned to my three sisters, there were four of us, Tara, Laina, Layla, Nora. I was in the middle, Laina, Layla, Nora, the twins, and Tara was a year and a half older. I assigned everybody their job and they were preparing the batter. And I went to the stove. My mother was a gourmet cook and we had a commercial stove with, I think, 6 or 8 burners. It was massive. And I went to it and I opened up every single valve, 6 or 8 of them. I can't remember. So you can imagine gas is coming out. And then I went to get the matches and then I went, shh. And when I lit that match, I went on fire. My hair was on fire. I remember the little pajama robe that I was wearing was on fire. I'm screaming. My sisters are screaming. They're calling my mom, my dad, and they come down. I forget what my parents did to try and get rid of the fire that was on me and took me to the hospital. Anyways, it burned my hair, burned my eyelashes, it burned my eyebrow. I had no hair. My skin didn't burn, but my hair singed and I smelled like burnt hair for a long time. Eventually my hair grew. I mean, it burned just the front of the hair. So I had this long hair here and all this just turned into little kinky, like African-American hair, just singed. So our parents, God says, okay, you live in a world that there are matches and there are stoves and there's gas and there's this and that and the other, and there's all kinds of things. You can play with any of them. And if you hurt yourself, don't worry, you're not a body. When you have the death experience, if you burn yourself and you're blind or whatever, it's temporary. It's a blip in eternity. You just have a lifetime. You make the best of it. Extend love no matter what. Forgive yourself, forgive others no matter what. And it's wonderful. Then when you have the death experience, you go, been there, done that. I don't want to do that again. So we are at the point right now where humanity is coming to a place of recognizing, been there, done that, all the darkness, all the greed, all the contraction. I don't want to do that again. I want to live from a place of, look at this, pride. Pride is a very important energy and everything has two sides. So the pride of the ego is, I can do this all by myself. Because it starts at 2 years old. We start going down vibrationally at a very young age. 2 years old, I can do it all by myself. And then you begin to move away from the assistance, the help, and it's a beautiful thing if you're attempting to do things by yourself, but the ego hijacks that. And then it begins to do it to get revenge or to get, back at somebody or whatever. So, and then it turns into lower frequencies that cause guilt and shame and anger. And, but when we're ascending, pride is, I deserve, I am worthy enough to let myself remember the truth of who I am. I am worthy enough to let go of all of these attachments. I am worthy enough to experience freedom and liberation and sovereignty. There has to be a pride that says, I value me. And that is a very important place to be, because until you value you, you won't do whatever it takes to activate the courage to continue the process of ascension. Because courage means you don't care what other people think about you. You're not concerned about just your body. You're eternal. If you got to jump in there, if your child is hurt and you're going to jump in, and if it takes your life, it takes your life, because you have this incredible knowingness that you're doing something for the greater good. But until we get to those places of pride that are soul pride, it's a recognition, I deserve to operate in the highest frequency. I deserve peace. I deserve freedom. And it's from me, because you don't need it from anybody else. You're just proving to you that you don't need anybody else's approval. That level of pride is necessary. And then we've got to look at it and make sure that we sort it out from egoic pride, from soul pride, consciousness pride that acknowledges I am the child of God. I am the light of the world. I am magnificent. I am beautiful and powerful and strong. I am eternal. I am abundant. And to sit in that confidence of who you are requires that you're no longer wallowing in the energy of victimization. Well, they did this to me. If they did that to you, then how can you be the powerful creator? Until you recognize that it was pride of using your power as the child of God, created to create, that you just chose to go into the amusement park and you got sidetracked inside of those dark haunted houses. But once you see where you are, this is why awareness is key. Once you become aware, okay, where am I? You know what? I've been doing the same thing, expecting different results. I keep being with the same relationship. I keep encountering the same job situation. Okay, I must be the common denominator. And then you begin to look into who you are. Well, we have, again, a 36-year window to begin to gather all the pieces of who we are together, meaning pull yourself from your idea that you're a mom, that you're a daughter, that you're a sister, that you're a brother, that you're a boss, that you're a servant, that you're a richest person in the world. You've got to begin to look at all these identities that we create that has us become schizophrenic, fragmented, that we think we're all these different things. And it takes time, but with a little willingness, like the Course in Miracles says, this, you can train your mind to bring you back to, who am I really? Because you have to answer that question. Who am I? And until you come to the singularity that you are nothing more than the energy of God expressing itself individually, uniquely as you, and then you add, and so is everybody else, then you come to know that you have all of the power of creation at your disposal. Nothing now can take anything from you. You are the creator of your reality. And then another book written, also channeled by Jesus, called The Way of Mastery. It's a follow-up to A Course in Miracles. There's a beautiful exercise where you just sit for a couple of minutes in a chair somewhere and go, wow, you know that stuff that's happening in my life, that divorce or that bankruptcy, I created that. I wanted to experience what that would be like. And now you feel like a child getting ready to play a game. Whoa, I get to experience this. Now with a sense of excitement, a sense of wonder, you begin to get curious. Okay, so how do humans navigate divorce? How do humans navigate the loss of a child? And something inside of you connects with that part of you that is creative, that part of you that is on a journey. And I'm here for a short period of time. Let's make the best of it. But see, most humans don't do that, because if we lose something, we got to have drama about it. We got to talk about it. We got to make it terrible. And we've got a diagnosis, and we lost this, we lost that. This is all, that's why it says suffering there. It's all about suffering. It's all about feeling guilt and shame, and I didn't do it right, and blah, 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 blah. So we have to mature out of those behaviors. And those behaviors are consistent with what we've been taught you should do. If you lose something, you're a victim. And then if you steal it, you're a bully. So we pretty much have been given very, very little potential of how to deal with things. Either you are going to be aggressive, or you're going to be passive aggressive. You're going to lay down and let people, or be passive and be taken advantage of. So we don't have too many tools to really deal with the frequencies, the shift in energy that moves from one to the other, high to low, high to low. So we're constantly like a pendulum swinging, or you can look at it like this, yo-yo, up and down, up and down. That's why most of us can't get our bearings. That's why most of us have to drink or shop or accumulate stuff, because we need something to keep us busy, because we haven't learned how to connect with the part of us that wanted to be on this journey. And then from wanting to be on this journey, begin to recognize, oh, the divorce. Yeah, I did that. The getting fired. I did that. The diagnosis. Yep. It's part of my journey. Then how do I want to deal with all of those things? Well, as we've been looking in the Course in Miracles, we studied chapter 30. It took us a little while to get through that. In chapter 30, we were learning that we have created idols. We've learned how we, disempowered ourselves. We put power outside of ourselves. But to come to chapter 31, which is the final vision, is the title of that chapter, also is the last chapter in the text, we are seeing that salvation is very simple. It's very simple. You save yourself from all of this suffering when you acknowledge you're the creator of it. Now, somebody who's in victimization, somebody who's just been robbed or just been stabbed or just been abused or just lost everything, they're not in the space, for the most part. Sure, there's some exceptions, but they're not in the space to say, I did this. They're experiencing the energy of victimization. Something did this to me. And that's because we've been conditioned just our whole life. Mommy and daddy told me I had to do it this way. So then the teacher told me to do it this way. The boss told me, the lover told me, everybody else tells me what to do. So I don't have a voice. So we have to reverse all of that, because understanding who you are as a child of God requires that you willingly, consciously accept how powerful you are, that we used our power to disempower ourselves, that we used our power to enter through the portal of the families that we chose, because we knew that's going to be a great learning opportunity. I'm going to lose myself, but then I'm going to find myself because of that. And we did it time and time and time again. And until we see that whatever we experienced was a joyride, truly was a joyride. Whoa, that's amazing. I can't believe I picked these parents and I picked this country and I picked this situation. I was born during a war. I was born during a famine, or I was born in the Depression, or I was born in tragic circumstances. Wow. I came in, I hit the ground running. Until we get comfortable with that, we cannot fully comprehend what this final vision is, which means we have to accept that salvation is simple. All suffering ends when we acknowledge I create my reality. Again, I'm talking to you like you are in grad school with me. What I'm talking about is not for beginners on this journey. Beginners on this journey just want to feel better. They want to make a little more money. They want to get somebody to like them, but they're still in the world and they're caught up in all of the day-to-day stuff and the job and the bills and looking good and aging and whatever it is. But they want to make things a little bit better. That's kindergarten in spirituality. And then they begin to play. We begin to try things and we begin to give power to things. Oh, those crystals have power. Those cards have power. That person reading has power. And what do you have to say for me? You're still not taking full responsibility, except for I'm choosing to allow something else in that maybe wasn't part of my awareness. So I begin to learn all these things and take all these courses and workshops and attend all kinds of lectures and things and watch YouTube videos that expand my awareness, but I'm still here with all my angst, with all my fears, with all my worries, still judging, still blaming, but I'm expanding my awareness that there's a lot more out there. So I'm progressing in a couple of grades until we do the work of coming within and acknowledging that we create our reality, that every thought that I think creates how I feel. Until you have had that experience many times, because it doesn't just one, it's not one and done, but many times, and you finally go, my gosh, why am I still judging that person? Look how I'm feeling tight and tense. Why am I still hoarding this or holding on to this? It doesn't bring me any joy, but it just lets me feel lack, because I got to hold on to it to be okay, to be safe, to be secure. Until we put two and two together, that my thoughts create how I feel, we're not prepared to make a decision. Well, how do I want to feel? Because if I want to feel peace, I can't have the thoughts that activate discomfort. So in this final vision is one who has gone through the process. I'm going to say somebody who's in mastery, who knows every thought creates how they feel, who is completely committed to feeling peace, who is completely committed to taking full responsibility for what they're thinking about, and who is completely engaged in a relationship with God, in a relationship with Creator, acknowledging, speaking to the power within, activating that power, commanding that power to work for us. And it's not at all, oh, God, bring me $1 million. It's not that at all. It's I am creating this. It's an acceptance. It's a surrendering to what is. Okay, this is in front of me. This is how I'm going to bring love to this. And while I'm bringing love to this, I'm realizing, well, what would I like to experience next? And so it's very simple. It is what it is. And then what would I like to experience next? Not because I'm judging this bad, but okay, I've had this experience. Interesting. I've learned interesting things about it, but now I prefer something different. So you're commanding the power of creation within you. This is why Jesus said, I and the Father are one. This is why, even though it is said in the Bible, it is not something that the churches want believers of these teachings to practice. You and the Father are one. No, 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 no. You're a sinner. The Father is up there on a cloud. And to get to that cloud, well, you got to give us 10%, 20%, 30%, and then we'll ferry you there. But we have a long line, so it might be a couple of years before we get you even in the line. So we've been given so many stories, so many reasons why we can't get there. Because if they told us where that power is, and that is within, just as Jesus said, I and the Father are one. You and the creative source are one. No matter what you want to call it. When we accept that with humbleness, with sincerity, and above all else, with a desire to use it for the greater good of all, then you are supported in wielding that level of creation in this world. At the same time, when you look at this world and you see how can some people get away with so many things that are unloving, is because they understand the power of creation. They may not have connected with the heart and are doing it for the greater good of all, but they understand how creation works. And it happens with a desire. It starts with a desire for whatever it is. And when you move down that way, that you're feeding the ego, and the ego becomes an insatiable little hungry monster, it only wants two things: power and money. Money, because that's what we have agreed is what determines our worth is. So if you have a big net worth, then you got healthy self-worth, even though they're totally, completely not tied together. We have made that acceptable. So when you are understanding that the power of your mind creates, but you do it without heart, you're going to create more suffering for yourself and others. But when you understand that the power of creation, the mind creates, and you do it consciously, and you do it with heart, you do it with love, because you understand we're all one, we're all made of the same energy. Now you are the director of your reality, because you are focusing on what it is that you want, and it is never going to have anything to do with anybody losing or with having more than that person, because there's selfishness or there's greed or there's pride in that egoic pride. It's a very gentle process, but it is very simple. Salvation is so simple. So in paragraph number 5, it says, learning, because in this particular section, we've been talking about the power of learning. We have learned how to misuse our power, so we have to learn how to use it properly. We learned to give our power to authorities outside of us. We learned to fear mother, father, teacher, preacher, government. We learned to fill our minds with all kinds of information. So we've been learning. Now we need to turn learning on itself. We need to say, well, if I believe that I'm not good enough, I learned that. I wasn't born that way. If we go to the beginning, if you go to the birth, you didn't believe that there was something wrong with you. So then you sit, where did I learn that? When did I pick that up? Maybe it was at 1, maybe it was at 10, maybe it was at 15. When you begin to look, because you are paying attention, you're becoming self-aware. Where did these things come from? Then you identify the beliefs, that you picked up that blocks your awareness of the truth of who you are. Then you have to, it's simple. Salvation is simple. Do I keep believing that there's something wrong with me when I am the perfect child of God? I'm made in the image of that which is pure perfection. When you then ask yourself and engage your own intelligence, you go, well, if I keep believing that there's something wrong with me and I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty, and I'm not worthy, I always feel bad when I think those things. And you realize, when my body feels tight and tense, that's because I'm believing something that's not true. So it must not be true that I'm unworthy. And then you sit with, I am the magnificent child of God. And then you go, oh, that's what would they call that? Heresy or blasphemy or whatever. Oh, God's going to strike me. Why would God strike me? Oh, because the church told me that. Then you got to do it again. Okay, the church said this, but this is the truth that I am feeling that is more true within me. And then I'm going to let go of this belief because it makes me feel tight and tense and it makes me feel uncomfortable. But this belief that I am wonderful, that I was born perfect, magnificent, whole, complete. And little by little, you begin to accept the beliefs that are true, but you're going to have to face the ones that are not true because it's going to be scary to let go of the lies because they were so real. They felt so true to who you are because you've, after all, have lived 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years living into, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I don't have friends, I don't have this, I don't have, skills, I don't have talents, and I'm not capable. Well, yeah, if you believe all those things, then you have a life that is an example of all of those things. But if you believe that you're amazing, that you're magnificent, you don't have to be prideful. As a matter of fact, you lose the pride because when you ascend past pride into courage, into neutrality, you move into the realm of acceptance and you accept that you are who you are. Like any little child that knows who they are, that has innate intelligence within them. They don't go around boasting it. That happens. We learn that in school. We learn to compete with each other and who's better and who got the award, and all of that competition is really part of the programming. So learning is an ability you made and gave yourself. It was not made to do the will of God, but to uphold a wish that it could be opposed, and that a will apart from it was yet more real than it. Listen to that. Absolutely amazing. The ability to learn things that are not true and accept them as true is something that we have cultivated as a way to block our ability to remember the truth of God. Think about the intelligence of that situation, that you, a soul that is one with God, you know everything. You have infinite knowledge. You literally block yourself. You take the piece of land and you build a house with very little windows and you block yourself from seeing the sun. And then you say, oh, it's dark in here. But it's only dark in there because you block the sun. And same with incarnating. Oh my gosh, I don't remember the truth of who I am. Duh, you don't want to remember the truth of who you are because you can't be all that is and then play the role and have the experience of being a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a doctor, a lawyer, a realtor, a homeless person. You can't have that individualized experience if you know you're also all that is. The mind couldn't handle at the same time those two totally opposing beliefs without a process of integration. And the way we integrate that we are all that is and this finite being is by going through the journey of awakening. So we have to drop down into the lower densities, experience the discomfort of it, and then begin to seek the truth so that we can hold both together. So yeah, learning is what we gave ourselves as a gift to block truth, is like the walls that we put up to block the light when we're building a house and we're confining ourselves into only one tiny little place that we can exist in. So sentence 3 says, and this has learning sought to demonstrate, and you have learned that it was made to teach. So learning is the opportunity by which the mind is conditioned into believing things that are not true. as well as the way that we condition our mind to begin to train it into remembering that which is true. But you cannot move on a journey of learning truth without also engaging the heart. To learn with the ego is to engage the mind and memorize, regurgitate things, and this, very technical. But you also have to shut the heart off. You can't feel things, because if you're feeling too many things, you can become too analytical and get lost in the insanity of the analysis paralysis. When you begin the process of using the mind to learn to question, you have to engage the heart. You have to have compassion, gentleness, kindness, forgiveness for what you have done before. There was a time that I was constantly realizing, oh my gosh, I did that thing to so-and-so. I forgive myself. I had no idea I was doing that. Oh, I said that to so-and-so. I am so sorry. I forgive myself. And for years, memories of things that I had done to others that were unloving and unkind were coming into my conscious awareness. And for a while, I was like, fuck, I really have not been a nice person. But that's because I was unearthing, I was bringing up all of that which was dark, which is what's happening in the world right now. As within, so without, the micro, the macro. The world, lots of things are coming up for us to see. Every candidate out there that we can't stand is a reflection of something in us that we haven't integrated. Any single person who is mad at whoever, it doesn't matter which side it is, because it's all the same. Is simply letting me know the pain that they have within that they haven't healed. So there's no need to bash them or blame them. They're just simply showing me their pain, but they're showing it to me the way the ego shows pain, projecting it. Well, it must be you. It's your fault. And once you don't take things personally, because we're all one, everybody's doing the best they can with what they've got, then you can experience gentleness, which is one of the characteristics of one who teaches the truth that we're learning here in the Course in Miracles. So we wanted to learn what it was like to forget who we are. So we had to go through schooling and learn all kinds of, in many cases, useless information, fill the mind with so much stuff to make the mind busy. And then we get to the place where we go, okay, done with this, and we begin the process of ascending. Then we let go of the beliefs for a while. You feel like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming useless. It's a good thing, because you're no longer filling your mind with so much useless information. You're learning to live in the now, and you're guided by what is necessary now, and not planning for the future, which of course, the governments hate that you're living in the now and not planning and contributing to the future that you might never get to. But sentence number 4 says, now does your ancient overlearning stand impeccable before the voice of truth and teach you that its lessons are not true, that they're too hard to learn. As you begin to tap into source, as you begin to feel the connection with the divine within, you begin to hear a clarity, a voice that lets you know you're on the right track. Yep, they're making fun of me. That's okay. This is not their journey. This is mine. You begin to realize they think I've lost my mind. That's okay. That's okay. How does it feel in the heart? Because we're awakening the heart. We're becoming sensitive again. We're beginning to feel. We're activating intuition. We're coming within. Why? Because God is within. The kingdom of heaven is within. So who am I? I'm the child of God. And where am I? I'm in the mind of God. I've never left where I am. So what is this? This is a world that I have projected to have an experience as if I'm separate from God. I created this amusement park to have a journey, so that I wouldn't stay just as energy that is all happy and one with all that is. I took on a physical body to have an experience. And then what is my purpose? Well, my purpose is to shine my light. My purpose is to remember the truth, as it says in here. Inside of me is a voice for truth. I'm learning to listen to that instead of all the voices out here that told me what I needed to do, be, have, become, so that I could be happy. I come inside and I know I am happy because I know the truth of who I am, because it's the truth that sets us free. And you realize that once you realize the truth, you can't continue to oppose it. We block it. We keep judging and keep being in fear and keep believing the government has power over us, maybe 10, 20, 30 years into our journey. But there's a part of us that recognizes, oh, there I go, giving the government power again. And then you just shift and lift yourself back into remembering, no, I created all of this. And what's the purpose of all of this? It's just to experience it. Just experience it. Can you just be here and go, wow, how fascinating that these two people think that they're the only smart people on the planet? How fascinating that these people want to just have farms and grow food, and they want to give it away. Isn't that fascinating? They want to give it away. So you just observe 8 billion people doing whatever they want to do. The trick is to observe those who are doing it with the ego. There's going to be greed involved. There's going to be selfishness. Because ego is service to self. And then there are those who are doing it in service to others. And when you can begin to see who are willing to put their money where their mouth is and are not afraid of whatever it costs to keep doing what they're doing, and who are constantly needing to charge you, and you got to pay, and you got to they got to get more, and they got to have this and that, and they got to keep taking from you. When you can begin to see who is experiencing freedom, no fear, and who lives in fear and is constantly in a state of needing to control circumstances because they're afraid. When you can begin to see who has fear, who doesn't have fear, you begin to have a glimpse as to who knows God and who does not. Because those who know God have nothing to fear, right? So then it goes on to tell us in 5, yet you will learn them. You're going to learn what's true and what's not true. For their learning is the only purpose for your learning skill the Holy Spirit sees in all the world. His simple lessons in forgiveness have a power mightier than yours because they call from God and from yourself, capital S self, to you. So we are learning to sort out the world, to put what is true, high frequency, from what is low frequency. That is what this time is for. It's a time of bifurcation. It's the great shift. You have to choose. Do I want to accept who I am and accept the responsibility that I have to live in this world lovingly, gently? Look at the characteristics of a teacher of God. Can I be tolerant? Can I be open-minded? Can I be filled with joy? If that's what you want, you are ascending. You are moving to a timeline that it will not be long. Within a couple of years, you're not going to see anybody in lower frequencies because those frequencies are going to be too far apart. Anybody who wants to continue to hold on to, fear of what the government's going to do to me, fear of what happens if I let go of these things, anybody who's still in attachments and looking outside of themselves for happiness is saying, no, I really want the timeline that is egoically based. You're creating this or you're creating this. Nobody can do it for you. You do it for yourself based on your own internal level of consciousness. Are you operating from the head, doing things to acquire, to become, because you don't think you're already that? Or are you living from the heart? You're full. You know who you are. You're complete. Whatever happens here, like a Jesus, you get crucified, or you get hired, or you get fired, or you get, somebody, you're into a marriage, or you get divorced, and you're operating from the heart, and you're like, okay, it's just what I'm experiencing. When you have no attachments to things having to go your way, you are now flowing in God's way. And here's the thing, is that when we surrender and we experience that level of trust, things change drastically in how you feel life. The outside may not change much, but the liberation that you feel inside is profound. Nothing can take that from you. And we are poised right now, as we're watching the elections that are happening in the United States and around the world. I remember hearing something like 50 to 75 elections, big elections around the world, to determine who rules people, is an opportunity to really get clear. Do you really think somebody out there can save you? They can't. Now they can play a role to help facilitate the cleanup of what has either, been very egoic to now make it more based on equality. That's true. Maybe there was more oppression. Now whoever's going to be playing the role of leader, maybe they do things that are more in liberation, more freedom. That's true. Those two things can happen, but you have to decide. You have to decide. Either you have total control of how you feel inside or you don't. Salvation is simple. You are in total control because you are the creator of your reality. And until you decide that feeling peace, feeling joy, feeling liberation within is the most important thing, you're not free yet. You're still needing things to out there. You're still arranging the furniture on the Titanic, hoping that you're going to be okay. It's going to go down no matter what. If you haven't found your foundation in the creative source within, knowing you and God are one, you're one. When you activate that part of you that says, wow, I have incredible creative powers and I am one with everybody. And you realize there's nobody you want to hurt because you're one with all of it. You begin to gain a humbleness that allows you to, like a little child, just begin to giggle. Wow, I've got so much power. How am I going to use this power? I can promise you that if you have tapped into that fountain of truth within, your first thoughts are not going to be, oh, I'm going to buy my mansion now. I'm going to pay off my bills. It won't be that, as it will have nothing to do with the things of this world. You'll be in it, but you won't be of it. The inspiration will be, how can I serve? What can I do to help humanity? And that is when you know that you are free. When you have nothing to take to get from the outside, when there's nothing you got to hold on to, you are being freed to be the light of the world, to walk among this world, whether it's posting things on social media or whether it's working at the soup kitchen or just being in your house, sitting, sending love and light to the world, saying, you know what, I've got so much love. I've got so much goodness. God, take it. Whoever needs it, you can have it. We're all one anyways. In that place of knowing that the only thing that matters is that you remember that who you are cannot be affected by anything in this world, that who you are is magnificent, holy, eternal, and there is no longer a fear, then you can be used as Jesus was used, as Gandhi was used, as so many right now are being used. You have talents and skills that can begin to be used in service to this world that is in the midst of a 36-year window to ascend or to stay in at the frequency level that is going to continue to create more suffering. It's that simple. Salvation is really simple. It's like being in an elevator. Am I going up or down? Not too many people want to get in the elevator and just stay there and do nothing for 8 hours. We pick up or down. You get to pick higher frequency, lower frequency, not good or bad. It just is. What do you want? What do you want to experience? Because after all, you're the creator of your reality. All of it is yours for you, by you to experience. So have fun. Thank you all so much for being here. I am so grateful that today, this was episode 170. I will post it on Facebook. And if this moved you, touched you, if it's something that you felt inspired you, please share it with others and help me spread the word. Some of these videos are starting to get more views, so it's exciting. Anyways, love you all. See you all later. Take care. Bye-bye.